Heard from God lately? God Conversations equips you to recognize and respond to God's voice in your own life. Here's pastor and founder, Tanya Harris.
God is not the source of hard times, but He certainly knows how to use them. This coronavirus pandemic doesn't come from God, but He wants to teach us something new in this time. When everything around us looks like it's going backward, God wants us to move forward. There was another time of crisis in history. The story is told how in 586 BC, the people of God found themselves in a place where their entire world had turned upside down. The nation of Babylon had invaded their city, their homes. They had devastated their temple. They had ripped apart their communities. They had killed people. And then they had transported the entire group of people to the foreign land of Babylon. Can you imagine how that felt? These people suddenly found themselves in this place all alone, away from their communities, suffering incredible loss and disappointment. But God in that time wanted to teach them something more about who He was. See, Israel's ideas about God weren't complete. They thought that God was just like all the other gods of the ancient world. Most of the gods of the ancient pantheon were territorial. There was the God of the valley, there was the God of the mountains, and there was the God of Israel. And the people of God didn't know that God was not only the God of Israel, but He was the God of the entire world. They thought they'd lost His presence because the temple had been destroyed. It says in Psalm 137 that they were on the banks of the river in Babylon, and they said, "How can we sing the song of the Lord when we're so far away in a foreign land?" God wanted to use that time to teach them something more of Himself, that His presence couldn't be contained in a city or a building or a temple or even a place. God's presence went with them everywhere. This was a powerful lesson that they could only learn in a time of exile. Did you know that there are things that we can only learn in hard times? There are things about God that He wants to reveal to us in a time of this pandemic, when we're shut away from the normal patterns of life, when we're quarantined in our homes, when we're facing fears about the future, when we've lost our jobs, when we're concerned about our health. God wants to reveal something more of who He is. In fact, when He spoke to the people of Israel, He said this time of exile, this hard time that you're going through, actually is a possibility for growth. It's a time of enlargement. He said to His people, I want you to enlarge the place of your tent. A tent is not a permanent dwelling, it's a temporary place. This is only temporary for you. But during this temporary time of exile, I want you to enlarge your life. I want you to stretch out your cords, strengthen your stakes. I want you to increase in your capacity to know me. Learn something new, grow, so that when this exile is over, you're going to have a greater capacity to bless other people. You're going to be able to extend your influence beyond what you have now. You know, the uncanny thing is that there are only some things that can be learnt in times of difficulty. When everything is stripped back, when the things that are familiar to us are taken away, this is an incredible opportunity to learn something new, to grow. The Spirit of God wants to teach you something about Himself in your life during this time. Can I encourage you to go to God and say, God, what are you teaching me? What are you showing me? I want to use this time to enlarge. I want to use this time to know you more. I want to use this time to move forward in my life. In spite of everything else going backwards, God, teach me. Enlarge the place of my tent. Strengthen the cords of my life so that, God, when this time is over, I can have greater capacity to bring blessing and influence to the world for your glory.